problems with animal testing. I'm so sorry. Okay, so what is animal testing anyway? Animal testing by definition is the use of products, substances, and chemicals on animals to find research. Animal testing has been used since the early 300 BC by Greek physicians and scientists. It is also executed all throughout the world in many different countries such as China, Australia, the UK, United States, and many more. Due to animal testing, there is a lot of controversy, which leads to animal rights organizations being made, and they do not support it whatsoever, such as PETA, which is People for Ethical Treatment for Animals. It also affects a lot of different areas, such as environmental, economical, and ethical, which people talk about.
Okay, our claim is using alternative methods to animal testing results in less controversy between religions, less pollution to the earth, more accurate test results, and isn't as expensive for companies to run tests.
So my lens is environmental impact. So when animals are tested on, they have these chemicals put into their bodies. What happens once these animals die? These animals have to decay somewhere, right? They decay back into our earth. When the animals decay back into our earth, it gets into things like our water streams. 80% of sampled rivers and streams contaminated by one or more pharmaceuticals. When this happens, it gets into the water streams that we use for our water. When these water go through the filtration systems, all these chemicals and hormones and such put into these animals cannot be filtrated out. Therefore, these could be possibly affecting us. And think about the fish and such in the water that's below it. It's going to be affecting not only the animals, but the aquatic animals. In this, it says that killer virus, VHS, is in our water because they're saying what's decayed into the water is not going to hurt them. And then this one says relax. So there's also enough prescription drugs that will be okay because there's so many things put into the water. Also, approximately more than 56 billion animals every year are slaughtered for animal testing. With so many animals being slaughtered every year for this animal testing, think about what's going to happen when it comes to extinction rates. The U.S. actually uses more animals than anyone else in the world. We used 875,000, and we're just holding 143,000 just because we need them by chance. That is a lot of animals that we're using that could be out in the wild.
Okay, so the ethical impact of animal testing. So animal testing goes against a lot of different religious beliefs, such as Buddhism. Buddhism is one of the largest religions around the world. Buddha, the religious leader of Buddhism, says in quotes, "In whom there is no sympathy for living beings, know him as an outcast," which is saying that those who harm animals or have zero thought about them are not right and unholy, which is a big deal for religions. Another impact, according to PETA, over 100 million animals suffer and die each year. That's a lot of animals. And they don't have the right to say, we don't want to be tested on. And sadly, these animals are dying unnaturally for our benefit. And this leads to animal rights being violated. Another impact is inhumane manners. Dr. Martin Wasserman, who works for the Medical and Hygiene in Maryland, says that animals are being scalded by chemicals on their skin and eyes, shoved in tubes no larger than their bodies, and forced to breathe toxic air, which shows that animals aren't really getting the proper treatment that they need. Humans, we would never think of being treated like that, but that's how these animals are being treated. Solutions for these problems is to have a stronger restriction and animal testing. A way we could do that is to only use it when necessary. So say a product comes out, we could only use it to test on animals to make sure it's safe for humans. Another one is to know the safety and life importance of animals. They're living beings too. They should get some right and should be able to die, naturally, not man-made chemicals. With this, we could have a stronger common ground between religions such as Buddhism, scientists from those that work in the lab and those who do not, and animal rights organizations such as PETA and FBR, which is Foundation of Biomedical Research, a nonprofit organization that supports animal testing. the limitations to this solution is not as many discoveries will be made because of the limitation of animal testing, which could cause other things. And with this, since it's just a restriction, animal testing does still continue, which leads to animals also suffering.
Economic impact associated with animal testing include the price of products. So companies have to buy animals to test on, and these animals are in most cases expensive. So companies have to be able to make back the money that they lose while testing when they actually sell their product. Connecting back to the ethical lens, some consumers will not buy certain products because they do not believe in the morals behind it and the ethics alone. So companies also have to keep in mind the ways that they test animals to make sure they are humane so that more people will be willing to buy them. It has a large role in the economy. People have to supply these animals to test on, and it also impacts how much companies spend each year because governments will require people to test their products before they can be put out on shelves to make sure they are safe for consumers. And lots of these government regulations make it so that you have to test on animals so that products can be considered safe. A way of testing which does not include animals is in vitro testing. So companies buy cells and they expose these cells to the different substances that they're trying to test. So these cells culture, and then ultimately they can see how the cells are affected by these substances. This chart from the Humane Society shows how inexpensive in vitro testing is compared to animal testing. And in some cases, it can be up to 97% less expensive to test in vitro instead of animal. With in vitro testing in mind, this brings two main solutions that would be the best economically. One of these would be ending animal testing altogether. We would accomplish this by using in vitro testing. It would benefit companies by saving them money in research because, as shown earlier, in vitro testing is a lot less inexpensive. And connecting back to the environmental lens, it would also make it so that not as many animals are being taken out of the environment to be tested on. But one limitation to taking animal testing out altogether would be it may make the economy unstable because the economy relies a lot on animal testing because a lot of people have to supply these animals to be tested on, and without those people will not have jobs, so leave a big hole in the economy. Another solution to this would be using restrictions in animal testing. This would keep it in the economy, so it would make it more stable, but we still do not know how it will affect the economy. It's unpredictable to know what limiting animal testing will have. It would abide by animal rights groups' requests, so it'll make people more happy ethically because they will be following their requests, but it does not mean that they will be happy because ultimately these animal rights organizational groups like PETA will want to end animal testing altogether. And it would also limit the amount of money that companies would have to spend testing because if the government say that you can't test a lot, then companies can't be expected to test more on animal products.
So others may believe that animal testing, it's needed to test the safety of products that they can be sold. But as we talked about the in vitro testing, we don't need the animals. We can simply look at the cells from in vitro testing and get the same exact results. Another thing that we can do, or some people say that is the firm place in the economy, like she said, but we could possibly replace it with in vitro testing. By replacing it with in vitro testing, we could have more accurate test results from it. And here's our website.
Okay, a couple questions for you ladies. I'm going to start with Megan. Describe how the content of the team presentation was changed as a result of group discussion.
We realized that all of our solutions were very close to each other, and we had three main ones after discussing, and our three main solutions ended up being taking it out of the economy altogether, restricting it, and keeping it. But after further discussion, we decided to just stick to our main two solutions of restricting it and keeping it in the economy, like taking it out altogether. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Gabby, next one's for you. In what way did you improve your ability to work as a group as a result of the project?
Well, we all definitely had to put in more communication because we all live pretty busy lives. It was really hard to see each other and work in class. And I had to improve, like, I'm very an individual person. I like doing things on my own, but with this group, they really helped me improve my work communication and working together.
Good. Okay, and then finally, Kiara, in the future, what change would you make to your group norms, and how would you expect that to improve the team presentation?
I mean, I feel like we could have just expected us to be busier. Like, I feel like it was really hard, like, me and Gabby just have things going on at home. Megan always at track. I mean, she's one of our track stars, so it's like we always had busy lives, and like I feel like going forward we're gonna prepare better because like I know one day Gabby got sick, one day I wasn't here, one day Megan went out on a field trip. So I feel like going forward, like we'll just like make sure to prepare better and just like plan ahead.
Good job.